And when it comes to numerology, your number is number 30, 30, which means that it's time for you, it is time for you to take a leap of faith, okay? And let Spirit be your guide. At around the beginning of this week, my gorgeous Erini, something unexpected is going to take place. Something unexpected is going to happen. It's about this information you are going to have. Maybe it's about this message you are going to have. You are going to be pleasantly surprised, and you will see that something worked in your favor. Something that you were worrying about, something that you were thinking about, something that was making you rather anxious, and especially lately, within the last couple of months or so. So the beginning of this week, it's not only going to start with this positive information, a positive message, which is going to pleasantly surprise you, but the reason why you are going to be really happy, you know, the reason why you're going to be so excited, it's only because now this in itself, this information, it's a lot about, you know, it's a lot to do with, you know, what exactly this is, because this news and this information, it's going to make you feel so happy, and it's going to give you so much confidence to actually now take some kind of possibility you have been thinking about as your next big step, you know, very, very seriously, very seriously. So you see, one thing is literally going to lead into another. Not only you're going to be pleasantly surprised, not at around the beginning of this week, not only something is going to work in your favor, but it's more about, whoa, this level of confidence you're actually going to have at this moment in time when it comes to you taking some kind of possibility, and this possibility is just something that you were thinking about doing for a while, and it's to do with your life, and it's to do with your lifestyle, and this particular possibility is going to be so big and it's going to be so great that it's actually going to affect every aspect of your life in such a positive way. And when I say this possibility, you see, this is a lot to do with this really big next step you were thinking about making. Maybe you didn't even realize how big this step is going to be, but most certainly, you know, this in itself, it's like kind of like a revelation in itself, because for some reason now, not only you're going to have so much confidence to take this possibility very seriously, but for some reason you will understand, you know, what an amazing impact on your life this is going to make. I mean, I say for some reason, but this time in between was ever so important, because there were other things that you did kind of find out, you know, because this is something you were thinking about for the last couple of months or so, and this couple of months have been ever so important when it comes to you kind of understanding how big this is actually going to be and what an impact on your life this is going to make. And there are a few things that you're going to remember as well, that you've seen, that you went through, a few things that actually inspired you within the last couple of months. And this is why when you put all this together, you will know that that's something really beautiful, something really big is about to, you know, enter your life. So my gorgeous Erini, it's like, you know, as I said, it's all going to start with this really positive information where you're going to be so happy, you're going to feel so confident, you know, because you will be able to take this possibility very seriously. And this is something that you need to really focus on. You really need to put this as a number one at this stage of your life. It doesn't matter what you're dealing with. And, you know, this is something that you should focus on. This is something that will require a lot of energy, a lot of attention. But this is something that is also going to be so worth it. So worth it. You're going to have an amazing reward. You're going to find this extremely rewarding, my gorgeous Erini. Not only you're going to be so much happier, but, you know, your life is going to change in such such a nice and in a such a exciting way, where on one hand, you know, your financial situation, it's actually going to be so much better. Just remember, it's all boiling down to this possibility you have been thinking about, and now this possibility, it's gonna come back at you like a flashback at around the beginning of this week, the moment in time you see that something worked in your favor. This is going to pleasantly surprise you, and then boom, you're gonna have this beautiful flashback, and you're going to be reminded of this possibility you have been thinking about for the last couple of months, and there is so much more that it's actually going to come to you. Please, you will know what this is. This time of your life, you are going to awake, my gorgeous Erini. At this moment in time, you are going to awake, because this is going to be rewarding for you when it comes to your finances and when it comes to your financial situation, but also in terms of your lifestyle. You are going to be so much, you know, you're going to be less stressed, and you're going to have more time to do what you want to do, you know, and you will be able to avoid things you don't want to do, my gorgeous Erini. So most certainly, you know, this in itself is going to be playing such a big role when it comes to you moving forward with your life. You're moving on with your life. Expect to have so much more energy after this moment in time. And I'm not being funny, because all this is going to be so connected. And this energy is going to reflect on your spiritual well-being, on your mental well-being, on your physical well-being. You know, lots of you are going to suddenly perk up in terms of what you need to do in terms of diet. Lots of you are going to perk up what you need to in terms of like what you need to do when you want to have like a health, in terms of a healthy lifestyle, for example. Maybe you will feel like you want to exercise if you're able to exercise. Maybe you will feel like you need to increase your exercise if you're exercising already. And then it's also going to reflect on your own spirituality. You are going to become so much more intuitive after this moment in time. You're going to be so much more intuitive, and all these things are such a little signs, you know, that you're on the right path, my gorgeous Erini, and you must not ignore this whatsoever. And also, when it comes to the beginning of this week, you are going to be worrying about this particular person. There is someone you're going to be worrying about, and you've been worrying about this person for a while. There is somebody you will be really worrying about. And you know, I'm not saying that you're going to be worrying about some kind of an actor or something like that on television, some kind of a singer or something, you know. No. This is, of course, to do somebody who is to do with somebody who is in your life. Okay, so somebody really close to you, one of the main people in your life. Maybe this is your partner if you've got a partner. Maybe this is your family member. Maybe this is one of your best friends. This is somebody who means to you a lot, one of the main people in your life. You've been worrying about this person for a while, about something really specific. And you need to voice your concerns. You need to say something to this person. This person is doing to themselves something that they shouldn't be doing to themselves. And you know what that is. You know what that is. This person is doing something to themselves they shouldn't be doing, my gorgeous Erini. And now is the breaking moment. You know, now it's the crucial moment, I meant to say. Now is the crucial moment, you know, for you to do something about it, because you're absolutely right. And because if you don't say something, then this person is going to find very difficult to get out of what they are doing right now, if that makes sense. This person is doing something to themselves they shouldn't be doing. Do you get me? This person is doing something or overdoing something or doing something that they shouldn't be doing, and it's really bad for this person to do what they are doing. And you know what this is because you've been worrying about it before. And even if you didn't worry about it before, you're going to have a clear indication, you know, this week, for example, this is going to become obvious that this person is going to need some kind of a help. This person needs to stop doing what they are doing because because they're making their own life really, really difficult. And you have got an amazing impact and influence on this person. And you need to really be straight with this, my gorgeous Erini. You need to make an important decision and speak to this person. Yes, it's like an important decision that you're going to need to make in order to speak to this person, because, you know, something is going to be making you like a little bit nervous, you know, when it comes to all this. Something is going to be making you a little bit nervous, and something is making you a little bit nervous because you're not too sure the way this person is actually going to take this. And sometimes we need to be honest with people in our lives. We need to be brutally honest, okay? Because if you are not, then, and if this person carries on doing what they're doing, I'm afraid this is going to break your heart, because that person is going to go against themselves. And this could be absolutely anything. Please don't get me wrong. And I know you're going to say now, oh God, you know, it could be absolutely anything. Well, maybe this person is eating something that they shouldn't be. Maybe this person is drinking too much. Maybe this person is taking certain things they shouldn't be taking. Maybe this person is overworking and getting too stressed all the time. And you can see this, you can tell that. You will know what this is. And it really depends, because everybody's life journey, as we are all on a really similar journey, really, you know, but then again, we are all on a completely different missions in life. And this is why it all depends, the way we reflect on things, because it really depends on where we are at when it comes to our spiritual journey, how far our spirit has progressed, you know. So this in itself, it's really kind of going to play a really big role when it comes to your own ascendance. There is no doubt about it, but you need to kind of voice your concerns, because this is going to break your heart if this person carries on doing this, because something is going to damage them, and there is no other way of saying this, you know. So you need to act now, so you're not going to get worried anymore. And you know what I didn't say is that as long as you voice your concerns, you know, just say to this person what's on your mind, talk to this person, and this person is actually going to take you really, really seriously. And this is going to end up to be like a really successful conversation, as long as you do it now. I'm not saying it wouldn't be successful later on, but now you really should do it now. You know, I just really feel energetically the outcome is going to be so much better. And, you know, this person is indeed going to be able to tell where exactly you're coming from. This person is going to take you seriously. And for both of you, this is going to be such a great achievement, you know. Brilliant. And also, when it comes to the mid of this week, you know that you are going to have a really beautiful experience, a really positive spiritual experience at around the mid of this week. And when it comes to this really beautiful spiritual experience, you know, it's more like maybe it could be like you looking at something really beautiful and spiritual, you know, like in terms of like that, you will be looking at something and you will be having such a beautiful spiritual experience. What you're going to be looking at, it's going to be so gorgeous, it's going to be so beautiful, and you will be thinking really deep. Something will really be triggered within you. This, on one hand, it's going to be like a really beautiful spiritual experience, because for some reason you will be reminded that there are different dimensions. You will be reminded of your own spirituality, you know. And at this moment in time, there are two major things that are going to happen. You will be healed. Okay, the certain fear is about to go away. You didn't even know was holding you back. And on another hand, the second thing that is going to happen, you will be reminded of your own passion. You will be reminded of something that you're so passionate about through this spiritual experience. You will be reminded of something that you're so passionate about. And you will be reminded of something that, you know, you're so good at as well, but something that you're so passionate about. And this in itself, it's also going to remind you, you know, it's going to make you realize that it's time to walk away. It's time to move on with your life, my gorgeous Erini. It is time to walk away. It is time to move on. Now it is going to be a crystal clear what has been holding you back. Now it is going to be crystal clear what is still holding you back. Okay, it's time to move on. And this, when it comes to you being reminded of your passion and what you're so passionate about, this is what you should do. This is what you should follow. Let this be your guiding light. And when it comes to you understanding that you need to walk away, at this stage of your life, what exactly do you need to walk away from? I'm not going to lie to you. You're going to find this as a really difficult. You're going to find this as a hard work. But my God, it's going to be so worth it. Okay? And by the time you get to the last part of this week, my gorgeous Erini, okay? By the time you get to the last part of this week, you are going to, there is something you're going to find out. There is something you're going to find out. It's to do with this particular problem. It's to do with this particular issue. But to do with this particular problem, something really personal and something that was really scaring you. And especially when it comes to your future, there is something that happened to you. I know I'm going to go back. Oh my God. There is something negative that happened to you within the last 16 months or 16 months ago. 16 months ago or within the last 16 months. There is some kind of a negative change in circumstances you've had. Something negative happened to you. Something came to an end. Something came to an abrupt end within the last 16 months or 16 months ago. And since then, you had a certain problem that you still didn't deal with. There is some kind of a problem that you were left with, and there is some kind of problem that you were dealing with, and that was, at a time when you had this negative change in circumstances. And what are you gonna? And this was still something that you kind of didn't deal with yet, but it's something that you really don't want to deal with. You don't want to be reminded of this time of your life, but it's so much necessary. It's important for you to understand that you're going to need to deal with this one way or another. At some point at some point you're going to need to deal with this problem, and it's going to happen so randomly. How this is actually going to happen, and you will be exploring something completely different. You will be exploring something completely different at around the end of this week. It's more like to do with that possibility that I've mentioned to you at around the beginning of this week. When I said that you're going to have this major possibility. So when it comes to the last part of this week, first of all, you will be exploring something to do with this major possibility that I mentioned at the beginning of this week, and then suddenly, it's going to happen so random. There is something that you're going to come across. There is something that you're going to discover. Maybe there is something that you're going to read. There is something that you're going to come across, but it's going to be so beautiful because it wasn't planned whatsoever. And then we have a different energy, we respond to it differently. Our mind is so much more open than otherwise. Do you know what I mean? So this is now, when it comes to the last part of this week, this is what I mean, that this is how suddenly you're going to discover how to deal with this problem that has been affecting you for the last 16 months or 16 months ago when you had this negative change in circumstances, and you will know exactly what do you need to do. There is a certain person whom you're going to have like a really important conversation with, and this particular person, it's somebody official, somebody important, and this particular person, you're going to have a really successful conversation with about this, and there is some kind of you're going to come to this agreement to have some kind of a compromise, but you will be so happy to make this compromise. You will be so excited to make this compromise, and this in itself, it's really going to make you feel so good, because by you making this compromise, maybe kind of giving something, maybe you will be giving something away. That's how I see it. maybe money or maybe something else, but there is going to be some kind of a compromise that you're going to make. But this is not a bad thing, this is a really good thing, and I know that you are indeed going to be so happy that you will want to have like some kind of like a celebration. That's how happy you're going to be. I know that you will phone and you will get in touch with certain people in your life, and you're going to be like, oh my god, I'm so glad this has finally come to an end. Okay, so now my gorgeous Erini, I'm just going to shuffle these cards and I'm going to see what's going to be a tarot card of the week. Let's just see what's going to be a tarot card of the week. This just fell down. You see this? I think that somebody, it's also going to be like a little bit rude to you. I think that you're going to have like a little bit of a challenge this week, and somebody's going to be a little bit rude to you. But then when it comes to that person being rude to you, you must not back down. You know, I think that this is going to be a little challenge that you will go through, and someone will not, this particular person who's going to be rude to you, is not going to be horrible. It's not a horrible person, it's not a nasty person, but this person is just not going to be able to understand where you are actually coming from, and you will be talking about your next stages, what you're going to do as your next big step when it comes to your life. So one person, you're going to really be taken back when it comes to one particular person, somebody very close to you, but that person is going to be a little bit rude to you, but you must not back down, my gorgeous Erini. You must not back down, because you know very soon you will be able to prove your point. So this is a little challenge that you need to understand. Yes, this is a little challenge. It's a Four of Swords again. So that's a little challenge that I'm going to need you to be very strong about. So you must not back down whatsoever. As I said, it's to do with the person who's normally nice, lovely, but they are just not going to be able to understand where exactly you are coming from. So this is your sign that you must be strong and do not back down whatsoever.